Whether you drive a car,
need a car,
or just occasionally bum a ride with friends,
you've come to the right place.
Join Jill and Tom as they break down everything that's going on in the auto world.
New car reviews,
Shopping tips,
driving green,
electric cars,
classic cars,
and plenty of great guests.
This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I am indeed Tom Appel. Thanks for joining us today. When you have a chance, do me a huge solid. Do me a big favor. Check us out at consumerguide.com. While you're there, you can listen to back episodes of the podcast or just peruse the library. We're at 238 episodes now.
Wow.
A lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
All right. She's Jill Ciminillo. That's the voice you just heard. That's not me. She is managing editor of Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. She's a North American Car of the Year juror. And this is the hot season for you guys.
Yeah.
And you are a freelance writer.
Yes.
All right. Jill, I was going to ask you a question real quick, and I forgot what it was. Oh, it was about a topic.
Okay.
So today, last minute, I got a call from WGN Radio in Chicago to join the John Williams Show to talk about an article about whether or not people should buy hybrid or plug-in hybrid.
Okay.
And the New York Times article that we were discussing confused hybrid with mild hybrid.
Womp womp.
And I'm wondering if we need to, and I'm asking out loud, and we never plan in advance, so we just have these conversations on air, if we need to have a conversation about what a hybrid is at some point.
You know, we might want to do that because mild hybrid is such an old term. I didn't think people use that anymore.
It's almost not being used. And for people who don't know, it's a hybrid system. They say the 80-20 rule applies, like 20% of the cost for 80% of the benefit. That's not really true. Mild hybrids don't supply that kind of efficiency gain, but there's some gain, and we're seeing them being used by Volvo, Mercedes-Benz, and other manufacturers, and it's an electric motor, and it supplements the power, but it doesn't move the car by itself.
Yeah. And
there's not a lot of power. It's a relatively small battery. And I'm trying to think of another famous, the Ram. The Ram V6. It uses the Ram e-torque system,
right?
Which is a mild hybrid system,
right? And I mean, once upon a time, when the mild hybrid system first came out, what I always equated it to was kind of like that horrible auto stop-start system that is mandated pretty much in vehicles that are being produced today, because it would shut your engine off, and then it would start your engine back up, and then it would provide a little bit of boost to the vehicle when you were already in motion. But yeah, it would not allow your vehicle to move on like electric power only. I
forgot, and you're absolutely right. Part of what this system brings you is a better stop-start system.
Yeah.
You're going to get a better motor and a better generator. It's a better system. So that is part of what you got.
Yeah, but once upon a time, the mild hybrid was just essentially auto stop-start system, but they've gotten better. They've gotten better.
There was, and I know we talked about this, and I know you don't remember it, but the first Silverado hybrid.
Oh, I do remember it. That was like literally, I think, at the beginning of when I was reading about
it's like 20
vehicles.
years ago.
Yeah.
I was at a meeting for these things, and it was literally just a stop-start system.
Yeah.
That's it. And it had a plug-in thing, so you could plug into there was some additional battery capacity, so you had a plug in the bed.
Which all trucks have plugs in beds these days.
But that was... You didn't then, though. It was kind of cool then.
Yeah.
Although the whole system was like $1,500, and what you got was the world's worst ever stop-start system.
Yep.
And a plug in the bed.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
No. But yeah, so I mean, you have these mild hybrid systems. You have a hybrid system that allows you to propel the vehicle on the battery electric mode alone. So there's usually an EV mode, and then you have a plug-in electric, which means that you can plug the vehicle in, charge up the battery, and then you have some amount of driving that you can do that is electric only, and there's a mode for that as well. And I think plug-in hybrids are great for city environment, especially like my driving situation, where I would be going to the gym. That's to and from the gym is 5 miles. To and from the grocery store is like 7 miles.
According to the New York Times article that I was discussing earlier, 45% of the time, only 45% of the time, plug-in hybrids are operating on EV power, which means that 55% of the time, people aren't plugging them in or they're going on long trips. But I think they're just not plugging them in.
I mean, they're probably, and I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We have.
And,
we have. It annoys me, so I bring it up again.
I know Auto Pacific has done studies on this once upon a time, and I feel like a lot of this data has to be coming out of California, because once upon a time, people would buy a plug-in hybrid in California just so that they could get the HOV sticker.
Yeah.
and I feel like in the Midwest, people are actually using their plug-in hybrid as a plug-in hybrid. so they're plugging it in, and in the cities they're driving around. I mean, personally, I think it's a great bridge technology going from a hybrid or a gas vehicle to all electric, because it gives you the sense of what it's like to plug in your vehicle and to drive in all electric mode.
It does, but it's inherently less efficient than if you don't plug in than a regular hybrid, because you're just hauling around a big ass battery for no reason.
That's true. So the moral of that story is, if you're going to buy a plug-in hybrid, don't spend the extra $10,000 unless you're actually going to plug it in.
You'd mentioned the HOV lane, and I can't remember why, but when the Chevrolet Volt was launched in 2011, for some reason it did not qualify for the HOV lane. And sales went up dramatically after they figured out what the problem was. And I forgot what the problem was, but it was a technical thing. It wasn't some deficiency of the car.
No, that's weird, because the first Volt with a V, not to be confused by Bolt with a B.
Right. Thank you, Chevy.
Yeah. The first Volt was actually what they call a range extended electric vehicle, which is essentially the battery powers the wheels, not the engine. The engine was, charging the battery. Sometimes
referred to as a serial hybrid. And the interesting thing about the technology, and I think as time passes, we're just going to call it a plug-in hybrid, because functionally that's what it was. But you're right, it was this very different technology, and it was more efficient than a regular hybrid for that reason. And Nissan has something called e-Power that they use in other countries.
Okay.
That is that same serial system where there is no motor connection to the wheels. It's an interesting system. You do get torque right away, and you get the smoothness of operating an electric motor, but it's weird and misunderstood.
Yeah, well, the new Ram truck that's coming out, it's going to be a range extended electric vehicle.
The REV?
Yeah, so there will be an all-electric version, but then there's going to be a range extended version, and I think it's a V6 engine will just charge the battery, not the or it's an i6. It's a 6-cylinder engine that's going to charge the battery, not provide any motivation to the wheels.
Interestingly, it's not their new i6, it's the old V6.
The old V6. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. All right, speaking of really important things.
Yes, because everything on your list is important.
Oh, that is so not true. I got a pitch, I think today, actually, it might have been yesterday, from someone trying to sell me this list of, from Brand Keys, that was the name of the company, and I think this was a guest pitch, but it's the 50 most patriotic brands.
Okay.
Not just car brands, 50 most patriotic brands.
Okay.
Available in the U.S. And I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but this list is stupid.
Well, so here's the thing. It's about perception versus reality.
It is, but I don't know where this research went, and I wonder if they fed brands to people, because I'm kind of confused after you get past the first things. So Jeep and Ford.
Okay, yeah.
Number 1 and 2.
Yes.
Jeep I get. Ford I get, but I don't get it as number 2 on this list because no other car maker is on the top 50. So Ford is number 2.
Yeah.
Chevy doesn't show up. And you would think Hemi Dodge would show up somewhere. Does not. But Applebee's is up there. Or no, I'm sorry, it's Apple. I keep thinking that's Applebee's. Jack Daniels is on the list.
Well, Jack Daniels should be on the list.
Dunkin', as in Dunkin' Donuts, high on the list. WeatherTech, now those are made in Illinois.
Yep.
I get that, because WeatherTech is all about being U.S. made.
Yeah.
And it's good quality stuff. I hear. I'm not directly.
It is. We have it in our GTI, or at least we did have it in our old GTI.
So number 12 on the list, just tossing it out there, Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, okay. That to me feels much more European, but all right.
I mean, when I was a younger man, every guy my age wore polo, but I don't know what to make of that.
Because every American plays polo.
Yeah, that's such a classic American game.
Yes.
Forget football. NFL's on the list, but lower than that.
Oh God.
Costco's on the list.
Okay.
So $1.50 hot dogs, that's American.
Big box stores.
Weber Grill.
Okay.
You know where those are made?
No.
Palatine, Illinois.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's pretty patriotic.
Where we are recording this show right now, I should add, is in Palatine, Illinois.
Yeah, Palatine, Illinois. John Deere is on the list. I get that.
Yeah.
Classic American brand.
But it seems like it's pretty far down. You're on page 2.
It's number, I lost it, 38.
Okay.
So that's it. This list is weird to me. Jeep I get. Ford, number 2 is weird if Chevy's not on the list. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, what happened to Chevrolet that they have been completely like kicked off the list. I mean, they are, like, if you look at the American Made Index that Cars.com puts out, Chevrolet Silverado is like number 99 out of 100 or something like that on the list. It's pretty far down on the list.
Well, they're made in Mexico.
Yeah.
So
some of them are.
Some of them are.
There is a Fort Wayne plant, but yeah.
But that's part of the problem. So there you have it. This list is weird. I did not want to have a guest from this company on the show.
So if you're listening, sorry about that.
Yeah, not gonna
I hate to break the news to you.
Number 3 is a good one, though. You know what number 3 is? Take one guess.
I already saw the list, so it's not going to be much of a guess.
Well, shout it out.
Levi's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Coca-Cola, Disney, Walmart, Harley Davidson.
It is uniquely American.
You had mentioned Chevy, though. There was that weird pushback after the economic collapse, 2009, 2010, when General Motors took the bailout.
Yeah, but so did Ford.
There was
or no, Ford didn't.
Ford did not.
Stellantis or
Stellantis got forced.
FCA or Chrysler or whatever it was at that time.
Well, Chrysler became FCA.
Right.
They were forced into that relationship by Barack Obama. So that's that story. But there was extreme right-wing pushback against Chevy for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
And Chevy trucks. But anyway, enough of that.
Okay.
Quick news story. You probably know this. The Kia Carnival. Nice minivan.
Yes.
I keep calling it the single dad party van.
Okay. Not to be confused with the Swagger wagon from Toyota.
No, but similar mission.
Okay.
But cool van.
Yeah.
Available as a hybrid next year for 2025. I didn't know that. Somehow that got past me.
I feel like they revealed that at the Chicago Auto Show.
I should have been paying attention.
Well, you should have been paying. I know you weren't there, but you should have been paying attention anyway.
I'm there in spirit, and I'm watching.
Yeah,
I'm watching the reveals. All right. You and I drove the same vehicle recently.
We did.
Interesting vehicle. It's already coming up as a bit controversial.
Yes.
But it is arguably cool.
Yes.
Kind of fun. And there's a lot of commercials for it with Spike Lee. Have you seen the commercials?
I think I have.
A lot of commercials. The Fiat 500e.
Yes.
So after an absence from the U.S. market, and I forgot when the 500 disappeared.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But the 500X disappeared for 2013. So there was no Fiat in the U.S. for a while.
Well, did the 500X disappear? I thought there was
after
the
2013.
L. I thought there was the L.
The L disappeared before that. The last one was the. So we should talk about what these are.
Yeah,
the Fiat 500 was the small little bug-shaped, cute car.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to sell better than it did. But that was the first one brought to the U.S. After that was the 500L, which was like a wagon. And then the 500X, which was their subcompact crossover. And the only one that sold in any volume. But they were all gone for 2013. 2014 brings us the 500e, an electric version of the little 500 that is cute as a bug, fun to drive, roomy in the front row, despite it being small. I fit just fine. I get in, out.
So we should give some size proportions here. I'm, 4'11", 5 foot tall, and I weigh 95 pounds.
Right, I'm like 3 feet from you, and I can barely see you.
Yeah, I famously once put my stuff on an agenda in 4-point type.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still remember that, by the way.
Because it's good comedy.
Yeah, but you were not that. You were a little bit bigger than me.
6'1", like 350 pounds. Big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah.
And in fact, the vehicle I'm driving right now, a little bit of a challenge for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. Cheap Wrangler.
Okay.
Wrangler, you don't get the space between the steering wheel and the seat.
Okay.
Which you do in the Bronco.
Okay. But the Fiat 500e, not a problem for you.
No. And we should talk about this vehicle because it's interesting. It's all electric. It's basically a one-price car. There aren't a lot of options. There's only 3 trim levels.
Yeah.
And the range is a bit limited.
It's a lot limited.
But that does contribute to it being very, very energy efficient.
Yes.
So what is it, 144 miles, 140 miles? I wrote it down.
It was, I feel like the press release says 147, but whenever I plugged it in, I always had like 159, I think, is what showed up on my thing. It's
good that these numbers always come in conservative.
Yeah.
So limited range. And then the price gets interesting because here's the deal. These are imported from Europe.
Yep.
So they do not qualify for the federal tax credit.
Correct.
So while these prices seem like a great deal, the base car, the Inspired, which is part of that red.
And you're saying red, Inspired on purpose.
I am, because the red's in parentheses because that's part of the red
Yeah.
Research program for AIDS and HIV.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. You're not having a weird accent.
No, Inspired. And the thing about that is we don't know anything about that. I looked all over their website, and I can't find anything about what they're contributing.
Okay.
And if it's just that particular trim level.
Okay, probably.
But with Destination, that's $34,000. And then there's two other versions, Inspired by Beauty and Inspired by Music.
Okay.
And those are both $37,595. We drove the base model. And so $34,495.
I had the pink, the Rosso, the pink.
Oh, then you didn't. You drove the Inspired by Beauty.
Yeah, I feel like as tested was 55 for me.
Okay. 55.
Yeah?
45.
Okay, I'm going to have to look at the sticker sheet.
Yeah, no.
It was a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Because there's not a lot of options to add to that.
No, but I have to tell you, I loved the pink color. It's like a rose gold.
It's called rose gold, and it's the only color you can get on that trim level. So there's a base trim level, 2 upscale trim levels. The big thing you get with the upscale trim levels is more ADAS, more driver assistance features. But the thing is, I enjoyed driving this. It is, however, built slightly to cost, and that's that the interior is not especially upscale. Mm-hmm. There is a fair amount of road noise, and the ride's a little choppy. But it does have a very short wheelbase. So those are my take. Argue with me if you like. But I found it basically sporty and fun, but it did not feel especially refined.
I didn't find it unrefined. I thought it was. I had a blast in it. I loved it. I thought it was perfect for my life, my lifestyle. You know, living in the city and the short drives that I do, even going out into the suburbs. It fit my luggage in the back when I was going to the airport. It at unusable second row, like back seat, my husband was just like, I feel like he made a reference to Police Academy. And I guess there's a character in that called Hightower who like ripped out the driver's seat and sat in the back seat to drive. And he's like, I felt like that.
There was a very old joke about a Chicago disc jockey who was so fat that he had to have the front seat of his car removed. I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
It's just a thing I heard once upon a time.
Yeah. So he felt like that sitting in the passenger seat. But the interesting thing that I found, so the range is very low, I think, low. Anything under 200 to me is like very, very tough to swallow. But when I plugged it in, I would say 159 miles of range. I went out to the suburbs one day, so like 15 miles, and then came back. And I got when I pulled back into my garage, I was at like 85% battery life, but I had 158 miles of range. So I was very confused by what was going on with the range estimates. I mean, obviously the battery life went down, but then it was still, maybe I was driving conservatively enough. It's like, oh, you have more range than this. But I found, did you play around with the drive modes at all?
I did. I never find drive mode goofing around that satisfying.
So the interesting thing is, Sherpa mode won't allow the vehicle to go over like 45, 50 miles an hour. And I didn't realize this when I first got the vehicle. And so I'm taking it on the highway, and I thought there was something wrong with the car.
So Sherpa is basically an eco mode.
Yes, like a super duper eco mode.
And there should be a normal and a performance mode as well.
There was a range and then a normal mode.
Yeah.
So there was not a performance mode because 150 miles of range. But Sherpa mode was hilarious. So when I was driving around town, I kept it in Sherpa mode. It turns off your HVAC system, so you have to physically turn that back on after you switch it into Sherpa mode if you want it on. And then when I'd get onto the highway, I'd put it in range mode. And then as soon as I exited the highway, I'd put it back into Sherpa mode. But I don't know. I loved this car. And, I did a video. I haven't posted it yet, but my end review was, this is something that I would own.
So here's the thing. If you want to buy this thing, you may want to wait until they actually match the rebate.
Yeah.
And we're seeing makers do that. Like Hyundai and Kia have done that. The Kia EV9, for example, their big crossover, does not qualify for the rebate. There's currently a factory discount in the amount of the federal tax credit. So there's that money. But also, if you lease the vehicle, you can get the incentive as well.
Yep.
So that's the thing you want to do. Because the problem here for this vehicle is the Chevy Equinox, which costs about the same amount.
You know what I want to say about that, don't you?
No.
Yeah, you do.
I don't.
The Chevy Equinox doesn't have Apple CarPlay.
It did. that cannot possibly be the reason that you would pass up on a $7,500 rebate.
Yeah, it is, actually. If a car doesn't, I would not buy a car that doesn't have Apple CarPlay.
And there are a lot of people that feel that way. I don't think that many people feel.
Nope, there are a lot of people.
What percent of the car buying population do you think feels that way? 2?
I think more than 50. I would say more than 50%.
More than 50% don't have iPhones.
In the United States, I think they do.
It's about 50-60.
So I don't know. I would be very curious. No. I mean, well, then you don't get Android Auto either, though. So I feel like there are a lot more people than you think. Like, just because you don't care about it. Like, I posted a video about Apple CarPlay or not Apple CarPlay.
The only person who has ever mentioned to me is you.
Yeah, because I'm the one who's being the most vocal about it. But on the video that I posted, on the video that I posted, there were maybe like 2 or 3 comments that were like, "Yeah, I don't care," and then like every other comment is like, "Yeah, I'm not going to buy this vehicle because of this."
But that's a self-selecting group of people who went to that article because it's about a thing that they're mad about.
Or that they're
That's bad market research.
No, because it's about a thing like it's people shopping for a vehicle that see this that are like, I didn't know that. And I've even had a couple people comment, well, I bought this vehicle and they didn't tell me it didn't have Apple CarPlay and now I'm stuck.
I don't know how stuck you are. You just have to use a different system. But anyway, the Equinox is a big problem for this vehicle because it starts around the same price, has greater range. The federal tax credit does apply, and it is more powerful. Though not quicker. This car is relatively quick. Yeah, no, and I outside of Apple CarPlay, I really did like the Equinox. So if you're looking for a third car, maybe an EV to have in the garage for the kids to kick around in, you're going to lease it, so you're going to get the tax credit. This is a very interesting vehicle. A lot of fun to drive, very practical. And if you have kids and you don't want to have more than 2 people in the car, perfect. Because the rear seat's useless. It is. I mean, even me sitting back there is kind of useless. But me behind me works. Me behind anybody else does not work. But yeah, no, like I think if you're going to own this car, you need to have another gas vehicle in the garage. Probably. Or you live in the city and you Uber to. And you never drive outside of the city. Yeah. But, I mean, for me, like, I drive outside of the city, so my husband and I could switch cars. That was exactly the case for the Mini. Yeah. The Mini EV. Because it was about 100 miles of range. Yeah. So this is actually vastly more range. That's even tougher. So, what was it? The Mazda, was it MX-30? MX-30. Which also only had, like, 100 miles of range. Man, what a nice car, but 100 miles of range? And that was like $35K. It was too much money. Yep. All right. We should take a break. Big news. When we come back, we talk to Sam Fiorani of AutoForecast Solutions about a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff. I sent him an email list of a bunch of stuff, and he's ready to talk about all of it. Awesome. All right. We'll be right back.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
We're back. This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom. She's Jill. Jill, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You did break apart part of one of the donuts. And now I'm incredibly sticky. That's not the donut, though. You ran here. Well, I could run here. That's a long run. It would be like 5 hours. I could do it. So that's the cinnamon swirl. Yes. And also in there is, I think, called Bavarian cream. I've got my eye on that one. Yeah. Which leaves a German chocolate for Randy, for producer Randy. All right. Just real quick, I'm on X. I'm on Twitter. Car Guy Tom. So there you have that. I made me donut. Now I want a donut. I can't. I told you. We've talked about this. There was a DJ in Chicago, a shock jock named Steve Dahl, who used to talk about the Spilkies. And basically, like if you ate chocolate or you ate something sweet while you were trying to work, you'd end up not being able to form words. Oh, I don't have that problem. No. Well, now you're talking. Now you're articulating. Well, because I swallowed my donut. It was really good. I'm eating the cinnamon swirl, half of it, and I love cinnamon. I am a sucker for cinnamon. Speaking of cinnamon, world's worst segue. On the phone with us is Sam Fiorani. He is Vice President of Forecasting at AutoForecast Solutions, and I have a long list of things I've been wanting to talk to Sam about for a long time. Sam, how are you, sir?
Doing very well. How are you guys, other than feeding yourself with donuts?
I'm very much enjoying the cinnamon. Only Jill is eating a donut right now. They are through the glass from producer Randy, and I can't eat one or I'll make a mess and I won't be able to speak. But Sam, it's been a while. Remind us, what is AutoForecast Solutions and what do you do there?
AutoForecast Solutions is an automotive analytical company. We provide forecasting and analytical services to the industry, selling production forecasts around the world, covering 60-plus countries and every vehicle and plant in those countries.
I cannot listen to a podcast without hearing you quoted. You were one of the most quoted men in the industry. And it's sometimes like when I hear a fact or an opinion, I'm like, Sam said that. And then they're like, says Sam Fiorani of AutoForecast Solutions. You are a famous man, sir.
I try. This is our job here is to provide good information about the industry and what's going on and who it will affect.
I should say famous and respected. Real quick, before we start talking about new cars, you've been busy judging some Concours events. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I judged the Radnor Hunt Club Concours, which just occurred a week ago, and we had 100 classic cars there.
Cool.
Plus a few hundred others in the motorsports park, which are not judged as part of the Concours itself. And then there's a few dozen motorcycles that are included in that show, which is one of the few Concours in the country that features motorcycles. And then upcoming this next weekend is the St. Michael Concours in Maryland, and I'll be judging at that show as well.
Very cool. And then you guys, you're part of the board at the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. You guys had a vehicle take a win at the Radnor event, correct?
We did.
Congrats.
One of the featured marks at Radnor was nickel-era cars, which are the cars after the Bronze Age and before about the Depression. It's a very vague term for that era. And the museum's 1917 Touraine, which is the only one left in existence, won its class.
Wow, excellent. Congratulations.
So we're very proud of the car. It's a gorgeous car, and if you get a chance to come out to the museum in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, please make yourself available for 2 or 3 hours to walk through the museum.
I would love to get out there and do that. Now, we have a bunch of questions. You and I went back and forth with email, and then I threw in another question I forgot to ask you about. But there's a question I've been wanting to have a conversation with you, and I want other people to hear it. And my question is Dodge broken? Is the Dodge brand in a position where it's difficult for the company to now sell through Dodge conventional vehicles?
Dodge is in a position of rebirth. The Charger ended production last fall, last December specifically, and the Charger and the Challenger ended production then, and that left the Hornet and the Durango as the only models left in the lineup.
Right.
The new Charger 2-door and 4-door are coming soon. The 2-door is in production now. The 4-door will arrive next year, and with those models, that'll give Dodge a chance at a rebirth, so that we still have to wait till probably early next year before we start to see some life blown back into Dodge.
And that's really my question. So we've got the Charger making a comeback, and there's the Charger Daytona, the EV, and that's exciting. And I think there's a lot of buzz behind that. But Dodge is having a very hard time moving the Durango, and there are unbelievably huge discounts right now on the Hornet. Stunningly huge.
The Durango is probably doing as well as it ever has. It's been a steady seller. The Hornet is definitely an issue for Dodge since its sales have been much less than expected. And the vehicle itself is imported from Italy, so it's got a very long delivery line for that model. So it's relatively expensive for a compact crossover.
And I mean, you kind of answered, I think, the question I'm going to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway, so you can extrapolate a little bit. But why do you think the Hornet hasn't done well?
It's expensive. That's the first part.
Yeah.
It's in a crowded marketplace. There are a lot of models that are offered in there. Having driven the plug-in hybrid recently, it's a very nice vehicle to drive. Very good power, nice fuel economy, decent performance handling-wise. It's a nice vehicle, but it's on the expensive side. I think our test car was $45,000 or so.
Okay.
For a compact or subcompact crossover, that's a bit of change when you're competing against entry-level Chevrolets and Fords that are selling in the $30,000 range.
I was checking online, and I couldn't find any plug-in hybrids available around here. Are they backing off of that, do you think? And you think they'll just go to the GT, which is the conventional 2-liter turbo, which is pretty spunky?
It is nice, but the plug-in hybrid across all the models for Stellantis are going to the CARB states, the states up and down the East Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, all the states that are trying to tighten up their emissions. So Stellantis has been focusing a lot of plug-in hybrids into those markets, and it might be that they're not in the Chicago area.
That actually brings us to an interesting point. Now, what happened with, Jill, help me here. Some news just came out about the Wrangler, and the V6 is now going manual transmission only. Otherwise, I think they're trying to move customers to 4xe. Is that what's happening there?
I think that, and Sam can probably comment on this a little bit more than I can, but I feel like Jeep is really trying to push the off-road customer to 4xe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And 4xEs are on showrooms exclusively in the CARB states. They call them Section 177 states, which are the 14 states that follow California's lead.
Right.
Those states have been required. The dealers have been required to carry 4xe Wranglers and Grand Cherokees almost exclusively. And you can get one. You can get a non-plug-in version, but you have to special order it. So it takes an order to get a non-plug-in in those states, which could be leading to Jeep's sales issues at the moment.
Yeah. Speaking of sales issues, and I don't think I emailed you this about Sam, but I have a real quick question. Lots of people in the news like to talk about Ram sales and how Ram sales are declining. What do you think is happening with Ram right now?
Ram sales are down, and the inventories are way up. There's a lot of competition among full-size trucks, and the Fords have a range of powertrains from hybrid to fully electric, which gives the buyer a lot of choice. And Rams were primarily sold on Hemis, and for 2025, the Hemi went away. So that could be part of the issue that buyers aren't stepping up for a six-cylinder Ram, even though it's got great horsepower. It's a stellar engine. It's just not the Hemi, and that's a lot of the lure of buying a Ram pickup over the last 30 years.
An interesting point, because Ford never branded its V8s or never went real hard branding its V8s. I think the V8's still called the Coyote, but if I'm thinking right, the 5-liter available in the F-150. But Ford made the transition to V6 EcoBoost engines pretty easily. Like, people like them, and the EcoBoost is the best. I think it's the EcoBoost 2.7 is the best-selling engine of the Ford F-150 Lightning. So they didn't have a difficult time moving away from V8s, but maybe it's because they didn't make such a big deal of the V8.
Yeah, that was the reason why you bought a Ram, was because it had the Hemi. Ford did brand their engines as Tritons for years, but we always expected the transition from V8s to six-cylinders, especially among Fords, but all full-size trucks, be a difficult sell for people, because people who buy full-size trucks want that rumble of a V8. They expect to have that additional power, and they at least previously they saw a six-cylinder as weak. Well, when Ford started selling high-output V6s and selling them in volume, it broke all the molds for what a buyer for a full-size truck wanted in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, through my work with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, I can absolutely validate what you just said over and over again, Tim and I here. But, V8 is better, it's more reliable, it's stronger. And, I mean, what's really funny is I believe the new high-output engine from Ram, that twin-turbo six-cylinder engine, has more power than the Hemi.
It's a spectacular engine, but buyers wanted the Hemi. They wanted the old-school pushrod engine. They wanted that branding. That make that engine, that rumble that engine makes is key to a Ram truck.
Yeah. No, I mean, truck buyers are so traditional. I wrote an article about a year ago about why truck owners, like traditional truck guys, are having a hard time buying electric trucks, and a lot of it has to do with just the old school, tradition of an actual truck.
Now, the early electric truck buyers, I think, were coming from the outside.
Yep.
I don't think you're seeing the migration from gas to electric. I think you're seeing the novelty of having an electric truck drive early truck sales.
Yep.
And one of the things I've noticed, too, finally, is that Chevrolet and GMC are finally advertising EV versions of the Sierra and the Silverado. And I haven't seen those commercials before. I've seen pop-up commercials online, but I'm seeing TV commercials now Like there's money
They're
behind them.
finally coming into volume so that they can actually get them into dealerships. And Ram should see a similar jump next year when the electric Ram is available, especially when the extended range model comes along, the Ram Charger. That should solve a lot of the problems that truck buyers see in an electric vehicle with the possibility of range, the degradation of range when you tow or haul something. Putting a built-in generator for the batteries should help alleviate a lot of those problems.
Yeah, and I should say earlier in the show we were talking about the Ram Charger, and I think we called it the Ram Rev. And the Ram Rev is the electric only
Well, that would have
version.
been my bad. Thank you.
And when you said that, I was like, yes, it's the Ram Charger.
Wait, which is which now?
The Ram Charger is the extended range electric vehicle, but the Ram Rev is the all-electric.
Which is literally Ram electric vehicle.
Yeah.
Rev. Okay, my bad. I knew I was going to get that wrong. All right, Sam, I'm going to do another terrible segue because I had this in my notes and I skipped them. What is going on with GM and Hyundai, and should the whole world be afraid?
Well, not afraid, but all the manufacturers are looking for the best way to weather this transition. And so teaming up two electric vehicle manufacturers like GM and Hyundai could potentially spread some of those costs across a bunch of models and lower the eventual cost of electric vehicles. The deal between the two has been open-ended, so it allows them to do a lot of things. Both companies are into fuel cells. Hyundai would love to have a full-size truck. There are a lot of things that they could do together, but right now it's just an agreement that they're going to work together on projects, likely to extend battery use between the two, some way to get the GM plants that have a lot of capacity for batteries but not enough product yet, moving some of those batteries into Hyundai vehicles, Genesis vehicles, possibly Kia vehicles, just something to increase the use of the plants that General Motors has already invested billions of dollars in.
I was just going to ask 2 points that I wanted to ask you about. And one of them was General Motors has the capacity to build EV batteries, which Hyundai can use, or American-made electric batteries.
That definitely helps.
Batteries. And then General Motors could use some hybrid technology. I don't know if that's something that's on the block.
Yeah, the problem with the hybrid technology is it's a little more difficult to tailor to a product.
Yeah.
But the technology itself could find its way into the crossovers that are left in GM's lineup.
It does seem like earlier this year, everyone was very pessimistic about where EV sales growth was going. And it seems now that we're almost 3/4 through the year, EVs are selling a little bit better than we thought. Is what's going on there?
The problem is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, Tesla. Tesla sales were down in the first half, and that dragged down the whole market. If you looked at the market aside from Tesla, it was growing, and it has been for years. Pulling Tesla out of it, it's a growth market, and buyers are slowly switching over to electric vehicles. Tesla has always been treated, in our eyes, as a special case. It's more of an aura around Tesla. It's like BMW was back in the 80s. It's the vehicle to have, to be seen in. And it just happened to be electric. Now even Tesla sales are starting to bounce back a little bit, and we're going to see growth in the EV market for years to come.
Well, and the interesting thing that you say about Tesla starting to bounce back, I feel like I read either today or yesterday that the Cybertruck is actually the best-selling electric truck right now.
Saw that, yeah.
But that's not saying much when Ford is selling 4,000 or 5,000 a month itself. So.
But still, I mean, the Cybertruck is the best-selling electric truck right now.
If we follow the numbers, I think it's on pace to do about 60,000 units this year, which is compared to what pickup trucks sell, relatively small.
Yeah.
Remember, the F-150 was getting really close to selling 1 million units a few years ago. That didn't happen, obviously. But when you compare the Cybertruck to a Model 3 or a Model Y, it's just a fraction of their sales. And I don't know where the 2 million hand raisers who put deposits down on the Cybertruck went, but that number might have been vague, if not exaggerated.
And it might have been based on a $40,000 truck, let alone a $100,000 truck.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't imagine 2 million people stepping up to spend $100,000 on a truck.
No.
Sam, we've run out of time, but remind us what you guys do there at AutoForecast Solutions and how we can check it out.
Check us out on LinkedIn, on our website, autoforecastsolutions.com, and our YouTube channel. We're always providing new content on what's going on in the industry and how we see it growing in the future.
I always forget to do this. We will link to the YouTube channel as well in our show notes. And anything coming up at the museum?
The museum is constantly moving new displays in. We just had a auto car display. A bunch of auto car collectors came by and showed off their trucks. So the museum itself specializes in Pennsylvania-built and bodied vehicles.
Yeah.
So there's always something new showing up there.
Cool. Well, Sam, thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be here.
All right. That was Sam Fiorani with AutoForecast Solutions. We're going to take a break, and when we come back,
It's quiz time.
it's quiz time.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
This is the Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom. She's Jill, and this is the part of the show where Jill talks about social media via CarPlay.
Yes, via CarPlay. I like my social media. So I am on all the things at Jill Ciminillo.
All the things.
All the things. That's going to be my new social media platform, all the things. But yeah, so Instagram, TikTok. I have a very prolific TikTok page, so be sure to check that out. I do a lot of little mini videos on there when I'm reviewing a car, and the thing that I like to do the most is like what the things that I like about the vehicle, the things that I don't like about the vehicle. 2 separate videos. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. And I use the hashtag #CarDuJour.
You also do a tech review of some cars.
Yeah, I do. So on my YouTube channel, I've started doing what I call is a tech check.
Is that why I've just seen this? Okay.
Yeah.
You just started. Okay.
Yeah, because
Technically, I don't really follow you, so it's shocking that I saw that at all.
Well, see, YouTube wanted you to see that. They want you to follow me.
Actually, yes. I don't know that YouTube knows that there's some direct connection between you and I, but I do get your stuff put in front of me.
Yeah, see?
Which, like, I hit not interested, but I keep getting it.
You should follow me because I'm awesome.
Yeah, it's like a scene from The Birds.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, the tech in new vehicles in 2024, moving forward 2025, it can be, like, if you haven't bought it. I have a friend who hasn't bought a new car in, like, 30 years, and she's getting ready to go buy her first new car in 30 years. And I'm like, oh... There's a lot you need to know.
That's it's interesting too. We were talking about the 500e earlier, and I really want to get to the quiz, but the price difference between the inspired by music and inspired by beauty, and the base inspired or inspired car, that most of that price difference is actually ADAS equipment, advanced driver assistance stuff. So you get a full suite of that because it's not available as an option. You simply got to move up to the vehicle. But people want that stuff, and I think expect that stuff. And it came on so fast.
Yeah,
it seems like in less than a decade we went from just having backup cameras to having like lane keep assist.
Yeah.
That's a big move.
It is a big move. And I mean, the other thing, I've started talking a lot about whether or not a vehicle has Apple CarPlay, but also you need to ask about subscription fees. If you're buying a new car in 2024, there will be subscription fees associated with your vehicle. It just depends on whether you want them or not.
And as you've noted, and this is interesting, most of the subscription fees that may apply to your vehicle are deferred for 3 years or 5 years. So you may not care as the first owner. This may be a bigger deal if you are the second owner. But if you're like, I don't know, my wife and I, we buy a car new or nearly new and then hold on to it for a long time. The
average amount of time an American holds on to their vehicle, I just Googled it this morning, is 12.6 years.
Is that because that's very similar to the average age of a car on the road? Yeah. Are those different numbers?
Different numbers, but 12.6 years. And I mean, I have 2 friends who just bought new cars. They both had their vehicles for like 17 years. And I have another friend who's had both of his vehicles for like 17 years.
Because new car buyers tend to turn. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing where someone buys a used car and holds on to it forever. Click and Clack, the old public radio car guys used to joke about buying a 10-year car and holding on to it for 10 years.
Yeah, so 20 years old. Wait, so my husband and I typically buy used because we park on the street in Chicago, and we drive it until it dies. Here's a secret. Most auto riders buy used cars. Yeah. And right now I'm actually shopping for a car for my daughter.
with my daughter, and we're finding an awful lot of really good deals on 1-year-old small crossovers. Also, we talked about the Dodge Hornet. They are like free. I cannot believe the deep discounts on these vehicles. A vehicle that lists for 40, 41 grand, they're being advertised new for like 26 grand. It is stunning.
So if you were looking for a good deal on a vehicle, go look at the Dodge Hornet.
I wouldn't normally recommend the Hornet because I think it's a little rough. I think the ride quality is tough, and I think the engine isn't especially refined. But it is a blast to drive, and the interior is nice. There's a lot there to like.
And there's Apple CarPlay.
All right, it's quiz time.
On that note.
Today's quiz, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Front drive or all-wheel drive?
Okay.
I'm just going to give you a car model. You have to tell me if it's available with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive or just front drive.
Okay.
Are you ready? The Buick Envista. Which is supposed to... I have not driven the Buick Envista. It's supposed to be very nice.
I feel like I have driven the Envista.
And it's a bargain.
And I can't remember. Is the Envista... Is the Encore above or below the Envista?
Above.
Okay, so then I'm going to say no all-wheel drive.
Correct, because this is basically a dressed-up version of the Chevy Trax.
Yes.
Which is no all-wheel drive. You have 1 point. You're on the board.
Woo!
Here's a weird thing about the Envista. It's available with flex fuel. So for some reason, if you want to drive around with E85 fuel...
You can totally do that.
Which no human should ever want to do.
No.
But you can do it.
But you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you go someplace like Iowa and you see flex fuel E85 at the pump, you're like, it's so much cheaper, I should try this. Don't do it.
Don't.
First of all, it's not cheap enough to compensate for how bad your mileage will be.
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
There you go. Kia Carnival, we talked about it earlier. Front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? That's Kia's very nice minivan.
Yeah.
The Bachelor Dad Party Pad.
Well, and I remember there's, like, minivans initially were only front-wheel drive, and then there was a phase where I feel like there started to be some all-wheel drive, but was Kia Carnival one of those? I know they were trying to go for a more SUV-like look.
Yes, they don't actually call it a minivan.
No, do they call it an MPV?
Something like that.
Yeah, multi-purpose vehicle. I'm gonna say no.
No, you're correct. You are 2 for 2. No all-wheel drive. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, one of 3 Mitsubishi products available in the U.S. It's kind of their middle product price-wise.
Yeah.
A small crossover.
And I didn't love it the first time I drove it. Then they refreshed it a little bit, and I liked it more.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
When they refreshed it, they got rid of that really weird split rear window thing, which definitely a thing that was going to hurt their sales on a test drive.
Yeah, I feel like the last time I drove an Eclipse Cross was 2020.
I was going to say 20 years ago.
No, 2020.
I haven't driven one in a long time.
It's been a hot minute. I'm going to say no.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is available with all-wheel drive. You are now 2 and 1. You need one more for the win. We didn't explain the rules. 5 questions. You need 5 questions and a bonus question.
Right.
You need 3 total to win.
Okay.
2025, specifically 2025 Nissan Kicks.
Yes.
Yes. Which is new. They're finally getting all-wheel drive.
Yeah. And I remember that because I thought the Kicks was pretty amazing. And if it had all-wheel drive, it would be even amazinger.
Here's the thing about the amazing Kicks, which I agree with you, is a fantastic vehicle and a fantastic vehicle for the price. And they have not raised prices a lot. More power for 2012. It's moving from a 1.6 to a 2-liter engine.
Okay.
I am very excited to drive it, and I just got it on my schedule. All right, you've got 3. You've got the win, but the rest you're doing just for glory.
Okay.
The Kia Rondo.
Oh, God, that doesn't even exist anymore.
2007 to 2010. It didn't even see the Great Recession. Super annoying commercials, though.
I'm going to say no.
No. Nice job. You got 4 out of 5. Are you ready for the bonus question?
Yes.
We're revisiting a topic that amused the crud out of me before.
Uh-oh. Is it pumpkin spice?
No.
Because I will never use pumpkin spice toilet paper. I'm just going to put that out there. Not going to happen.
I can't even talk about it in some way that seems dignified.
No.
So I'm just not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Because I was going to say something about it being scented, but that just takes you in the wrong direction.
It really does.
Yeah.
It is not. Who ever thought of that?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I draw the line at quilted.
Okay.
All right. According to the web's most reliable site, loopnet.com, Jill, which of the following... Loop?
L-O-O-P.
L-O-O-P-N-E-T, loopnet.com. Jill, which of the following is not a restaurant franchise opportunity currently available in Illinois?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
And do you have 10 grand? We can go in on one of these.
Ooh.
All right. I'm going to just read to you 4 franchise opportunities, one of which is fake.
Okay, one of them is fake.
All right. Gray's Craze charcuterie boards and boxes, Teriyaki Madness, Sub-Zero Nitrogen ice cream, or Buffalo Bob's chili and pasta. All of these feel like an automatic fail. Like if you bought one of these franchises, you're just giving your money away.
No, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Charcuterie is really popular right now.
Is it?
It is. It is incredibly popular. So I think that's real.
At what price level?
I mean, whenever you go to, whenever you go to like a higher end grocery restaurant, they always have like a $30 or $40 like charcuterie board with like the chef's selection of cheeses and meats.
Yeah, and that's fun. And there's a place in Arlington Heights that my daughter and I go to where they just do a cheese board because we don't eat meat. That's pretty cool. I didn't know it was trendy.
It is trendy.
Okay.
So I'm going to say yes.
So you're saying Craze Graze is real?
Yes.
Going to help you here. Teriyaki Madness, Sub-Zero Nitrogen ice cream, or Buffalo Bob's chili and pasta.
So I could totally see the nitrogen ice cream being real.
All right, helping you out here. That leaves Teriyaki Madness and Buffalo Bob's.
Okay, so here's the thing. Buffalo Bob's is very specific.
Uh-huh.
None of the others are very specific.
Okay.
So I would think the teriyaki thing is just like, no. But because you made Buffalo Bob's so specific, like if it had been, Tiny Tom's teriyaki or whatever, then I would have been...
It's specific because it has chili and pasta at the end of it?
No.
Oh.
Chili and pasta, they do that in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Well, these could be different things.
No.
All right.
The last one's not real.
The world probably needs Japanese fast food, and I'm surprised it doesn't exist.
Okay.
So Teriyaki Madness would be cool.
Yeah?
And it's real.
Ah,
So
see, there you go.
You got it. Yeah, Buffalo Bob's chili and pasta, that's fake.
Okay.
Nice
chili and
job.
pasta.
I'm going to sign this for you.
All right. And before we leave the show, I have to wish my husband a happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
How old is he?
I'll never tell.
Oh.
But I will say, it's
He's
funny.
pretty old, though, right?
He's not as old as you.
Okay.
But I will say, whenever he goes to the gym and he tells people how old he is, they're like, no. Well, they think he's like 20 years younger than what he is.
Because he has a cute little baby face.
He has a little bit of a baby face, but he also...
He needs facial hair. He'll look much older.
He lifts heavy weight. And so he has like a bit of a bodybuilder physique, and people are like, how can you be that old and lift that much weight? He's like, I've been doing it for longer than you've been alive.
That's a weird separation of things.
Yeah.
Like I go to a health club that is like people my age mostly. And there's plenty of, well, not me, but there are plenty of people there that are seriously buff.
Yeah, we go to, I guess I should say he belongs to like a Planet Fitness, which is like, the all of the young kids go there. So I don't know why.
And you go to like Lemon Theory.
Orange Theory. I do Orange Theory. Orange Theory. He does
Citrus
Planet Fitness.
Theory.
Yes.
All
But
right.
yes, so it's his birthday today. And I have to tell you really quickly, I got him the coolest present. I'm so excited to give it to him. I bought this T-shirt like 6 months ago, and it's from Blip Shift, which is, we've mentioned on the show previously, they make cool automotive gear. And the back of the shirt, it's like he always rants about people who are in the fast lane driving slow, trying to regulate traffic. And it has on the back like the 3 lanes of the highway, and the one it says is driving, and the middle is passing, and then the outside lane is GFO or GFTO. I can't actually say the words.
Okay.
But I'm just like, yes, because he's always ranting about that. So I'm super excited to give it to him.
That has been a problem forever. And it's really weird because people who are in that lane are like, I'm driving the speed limit. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that you have 2 competitive laws in place. Mm-hmm. 1, you're not supposed to hold up traffic, and 2, you're not supposed to speed. However, if other people are speeding, you are supposed to let them pass.
Yeah, and
it's confusing.
A lot of states will say you're supposed to drive with the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
And that could be speeding. But if you are going with the flow of traffic and that is speeding, you will probably not be pulled over unless you're like bobbing and weaving in and out of traffic.
There you have it. I think anyone listening to this podcast will agree. Do not hog the right lane, left lane.
The left lane. Go to Blip Shift and look at their cool T-shirts.
Are you getting a cut of this? What's
Nope.
the deal? All right.
I love Blip Shift. I've bought him like 3 or 4 T-shirts from there. I just think
I
they're
have
great.
never checked it out. Maybe I need to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a show.
Yes.
All right. Thanks to Sam Fiorani of AutoForecast Solutions. Sam's the best and knows everything. Thank you, Joe. Thanks to producer Randy and the good folks here at TalkZone. I am on with Patty Vasquez Wednesday on WCPT in Chicago at 6:30 Chicago time. I don't know what we're talking about, but it's probably cars.
Probably.
All right. Let's talk more about cars again
Next week.
next week.
Remember to check us out at consumerguide.com.
The Car Stuff Podcast is produced by J-Turn Media.
To advertise on the show, please drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.